Jim Crowley rides, and he beat home a Sadner last time out when he was second in a listed race.
So last couple to go forward. Keep an eye on where Big Evs goes from stall 8, whether with the stalls in the middle. He heads swiftly towards this near side running rail as the last one's loaded for this Jaeger-LeCoultre Welcome Stakes, and they leave the stalls. Big Evs is very fast out, in company with Hackman and Chagrin early on, the three towards the right-hand side. Breakaway group to the left of Barnwell Boy early on, who's also showing very good speed. Far side as well for Marker Cole. Slightly outpaced is Kylian right at the back, and they're going pretty swiftly as Big Evs has made it right over to this near side running rail. Out in the centre, white and black colours, Barnwell Boy. Chagrin with the turquoise jacket of Hackman between the pair. Bahia with a slight domino effect there, gave a little nudge. One caught in the backwash on the outside is Marker Cole. Kylian's been flat to the boards at halfway, but isn't losing any more ground. Purosangue yet to get involved as well. Big Ev still has the lead in the Molecombe by a length from Bahia. Purosangue tries to close off with Chagrin, but it's still Big Evs who has the advantage entering the final furlong. Purosangue now breaks cover. Kylian is also flying home late in the day. Big Evs has the lead on the far side. Purosangue, Kylian trying to get involved. Big Evs toughing it out in the Molecombe on the far side. Purosangue, but Big Evs, a juvenile group success for Mick Appleby. Saw off Purosangue. Kylian flying late, the three under the stands rail, the first three home. But here was next from Marker Cole, Chagrin, all the way back to Bardwell Boy. Well, Big Evs went pretty hard in front, Purosangue and Kylian. Kylian was outpaced, but Purosangue got a lovely trail in, but when pulled out, couldn't get past Big Evs, who follows up that success at Royal Ascot with a real gutsy performance in the hands of Jason Hart, winning by a neck. Purosangue every chance to get by. Kylian looking as if 6 furlongs is going to be his go from now on, outpaced to halfway, and then the gaps to Bahia and also Marker Cole. We know Big Evs was speedy. We learnt today he's tough as well, and he's one for Jason Hart, and that's a big feather in the cap of Mick Appleby, a very prolific winner amongst the trading ranks, but seldom has the money to spend on good 2-year-olds. Big Evs doing him proud for first season sire. Blue Point.
Yeah, I think a lot of people really pleased to see Mick Appleby with such a good horse, and likewise the owners, Paul and Rachel Teasdale, who are from Yorkshire, and that this horse is named after someone very special to them, a man called Paul Evans, who they knew for 40 years, who died last November. Paul Evans, Big Evs as they called him, now has this really good horse. He was a big guy, and this horse means an awful lot to the owners, to the trainer, and proving here, Megan, that Royal Ascot performance was no fluke.
Absolutely not. He was so tough here, and I don't think he particularly loved the ground. He looked a little bit awkward under pressure, just lugging a little bit right-handed under Jason Hart, but ultimately I think his class brought him to the fore, and when Oisin's challenge on Purosangue came to mount in the final furlong, he wasn't able to get past Big Evs, who just showed such a great attitude.
He slipstreamed in behind, and you think last one to challenge under these conditions, he's going to be able to get past him. And you're right, I think he's won despite not handling the ground that well.
I'm trying to work out, wasn't Kylian a little bit short of room in the closing stage? I think he was a little bit outpaced early, but then at the very end he just didn't have that slip up the rail that he might have wanted. There on the white colours on the rail.
Kylian in the first furlong was a good couple of lengths adrift, and he has made up an awful lot of ground. He was massively outpaced before running on, but when you do that and there's no racing room, you're following two horses that are the ones going forward, it did eventually open up. He didn't quite have the extra gear to get up the inside.
Yeah, I think Ryan watching that again now, Ryan might think that he didn't have quite a clear cut at the front too.
Good race though, wasn't it? You can see the front two going right at it, and Big Evs coming out on top for Jason Hart.
And I spoke to Connections beforehand, and they said that it was a tough decision to run him because they weren't sure about the ground, but he had a great draw, so they took the chance. Bravery rewarded. How much did he win there despite the ground, Jason?
I'd say he probably has won despite the ground, but he's all 2-year-old, and I think with us having that drought, it was the right thing to do to run him anyway.
Yeah. Were you always happy though with how you were going in the race? Did he always feel comfortable enough on it?
Yeah, he always travelled around, and just when I got to sort of halfway, started hanging, and I kind of had to get him rolling forward to kind of negotiate that. So I got him racing a little bit earlier than I really wanted him to, but that was more just to keep him straight than anything. But he's proved that he can dig deep in the end.
Yeah, he's a great little horse, isn't he?
Yeah, he's not very big, but I tell you what, he's got plenty of speed and he's got a real will to win. And I'm delighted for Mick and obviously all his team, because kind of gets branded as an all-weather trainer, but he's proven that he's well able to do it with any type of horse.
Well, he's proven that now. He's certainly never been branded as a 2-year-old trainer, and obviously he had the Ascot success, and here now he's got entries at York, and wherever he goes, he's going to give someone a good spin, but he'll whiz down the Naves Mile, wouldn't he, if he goes there?
Yeah, he'd like to think so. I don't know whether he'd go to the Nunthorpe or whether they'd step him up to 6. I don't know, but he's a horse who possesses a hell of a lot of speed, and probably sticking to 5 would be the right thing.
I was going to say, would he stretch out to 6, do you think?
Yeah, it's a funny track because sometimes you can get a 5 furlong horse to sort of stay 6 there, with it being so flat, and maybe if they were going to try it any place, it maybe wouldn't be the worst place to try it.
Yeah, well, he's a great horse. Well done, Jason, you're flying.
And Jason touched on it there. Just had a very quick word with Paul and Rachel Teasdale, the owners. They're keen to supplement Big Evs for the Nunthorpe. Go big at York's Ebor Festival. As a 2-year-old gets an absolute ton of weight, and there is one of the owners in the appropriate tie on a day they'll be remembering their great mate. Here is the winner, Big Evs. Jason, just before we look back on this performance from Stall A, that'd be really exciting, wouldn't it? Go for it, go for the Nunthorpe.
And if you know, and for Mick to say that he's as good a sprinter as he's had through his hands, and we were regularly looking at a Danzino in all those top sprints and heritage handicaps and good levels. So he certainly knows what's required, and he's been multiple all-weather champion trainer for many years now. Stall 8, and he has jumped, pinged the lids, and always in control. But Francesca, you were right to pick up on Ryan. He's at the back, shoving along at the moment, or just chivying along Kylian, and it wasn't until late on, but he was all dressed up with nowhere to go.
Yeah, it looked like they went some tempo, didn't it, considering the conditions, but I suppose 5 furlongs down the hill at Goodwood, it does lend itself to the speed horses. The winner, Big Evs, was good to get to that rail. He had that dramatic. So I don't know if he was half wanting to lean off it there, just with his head on one side there. Look at Kylian here. We've got 2 furlongs to go. The white colours at the back of the field. He's following through Purosangue, who ends up going outside the winner. Ryan tries to come up the inside. Is he short of room, or was it all a bit too late?
I think the tricky thing is Ryan's been sort of niggling the whole way, and ultimately the horse has responded for pressure. He probably didn't have the racing room he would have liked. He didn't really have many options. It did open up a little bit on the rail, but I think for these 2-year-olds, that ground's pretty testing. Kylian looked a little bit uncomfortable. The winner looked uncomfortable, but ultimately he was just too good anyway.
Jason having a really good time with things at the moment. He and his partner Jessica expecting their first baby in October as well, to add to the party. And what a happy scene, an emotional scene that will be, Matt.
Well, here is Mick Appleby, group winning juvenile trainer. How does it feel?
Yeah, good. No, he's done that very well. I don't think he really liked the ground, but he's tough and toughed it out.
Yeah. So he's very speedy because he had the speed to rip along. He's very tough because he kept on.
Yeah, I mean, he's tough as anything. So, I mean, he's very quick. I think that ground just blunted his speed a bit early on. Because he's so tough, he sort of pulled a bit more out at the end.
Michael, most of your life you spend your time looking at weights and measures, how much horses are going up the handicap, down the handicap, etc. This horse you're thinking about supplementing for the Nunthorpe. Is that realistic?
Yes, I think so. I mean, well, the owner is not me. He's got to pay the 40 grand. But yeah, I mean, it's a realistic target. I mean, obviously, 2 years not won it, I don't think, since Kingsgate Native, which I don't know how many years ago that is. It must be 20 odd years now. So yeah, I mean, it's a possibility. We'll speak in the morning when we sort of all calm down a bit.
Yeah. And for you as a trainer, Michael, obviously you want to show that you can train horses to win at the very highest level. How important is this to your business?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it just shows that we can do it at the sort of top end, especially with a 2-year-old. Because I mean, obviously we're not renowned for having 2 years, but if you don't get them sent to you, you can't win with them. So to finally get a really good one, I mean, it means a lot to us.
It's a huge day, Michael. We'll let you speak to the press. We're going to go and quickly speak to the owners who are so involved with this horse about the naming of it. Let's just go in here. Lee Motter said, the leading writer from the Racing Post, getting right in the mix as always. Thank you, Lee. Tell us the story about the naming of your terrific horse.
Yes, we had a colleague who's been a friend for 40 years of mine, a close friend. We were great racing friends, and we went racing for 25 years together. We owned a few horses together with Les Ayres for many, many years, and he died sadly last November. And he was a gentleman called Paul Evans, and we named the horse Big Evs, which was his nickname. So the horse is very emotional to us, and it's good for everybody back at work who really loved Paul and followed Paul. That we're trying to keep his memory alive in a small way, but an important way, because he was a winner in life, and the horse is a winner as well.
I think probably for the right reasons. In this case, you're keeping his memory alive in a big way.
Yeah, I guess so. We just try to keep our feet on the ground. We're delighted with the horse. Completely the opposite ground to Royal Ascot, so we're really delighted that such a young horse is able to act on both sides of the ground.
And are you up for this 40,000 you have to cop up for supplementing for the Nunthorpe?
Well, I did say to myself before today that if he won today, we would consider the Nunthorpe. We had a runner there 2 years ago, and we didn't quite live up to what we wanted it to do. So we have a bit of unfinished business. But we do understand how hard it is for 2-year-olds to win. So we'll talk to Mick and we'll see where we get to.
It's funny because we always talk about great stories in the Grand National, and there are, but there's usually a great story behind most horses, and I think people are going to enjoy following Big Evs now because of your story. So many congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Well done.
Thank you.